everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be super fun because we're doing a book tag video. I have seen these all around YouTube recently and I've been wanting to do one so bad, so that's what we're doing today. I'm going to do this video too. I'll put all of like the book tag questions that I used down in the description box, but I did take them from a few other YouTubers who were doing book tags, kind of filed them up together. So there's also a storm. There's always a storm occurring outside, so if you hear some background noise, sorry, I really can't do much about it. This is supposed to be the nicest day of the week. Like, it's all downhill from here and I just want to get this video filmed, so I tried to wait for like the very thin buffer of time where the storm is supposed to like at least slow down. That's obviously the time we're using right now to film, so I can't do much about it. Sorry, I can't really tell the world to stop. Okay, question number 1 is best book you've read so far in 2024. This question was difficult for me because I have multiple best books that I've read. So I decided to compile 3 best books of 2024 to put for this question. I'm so indecisive. It's actually like an issue at this point. I should like put it on my resume. The first book should not come as a shock to literally anyone. If you've been on my channel before, you have heard about this book probably a countless amount of times. If there's ever a day that I shut up about this book, it's probably because I am 6 feet under in a grave somewhere and like it's physically impossible for me to continue yapping about this book. So no part of this book was slow, no part of this book bored me. It was just chef's kiss, okay? This book follows Clementine, and basically she lost her aunt not that long ago. She was really close to her aunt too, and she ends up staying in her aunt's apartment. The funny thing about her aunt's apartment though is that it travels 7 years in the future or 7 years in the past. The magical realism in this book is just so fun. It ends up traveling 7 years in the past and she meets this guy. Basically he helps her through all of this grief that she's dealing with, but also she's kind of helping herself. It's a rom-com, but like so much more than that. I loved this book so much because I feel like a lot of the feelings that I have inside me, I can't articulate into words and I can't express those feelings. And this book put a lot of things that I feel like are hard for me to talk about, like into actual words. I'm gonna read 3 quotes from this book, okay? So stick around. I'll go quick through them, but I feel like I just have to share these. This first quote is like the rom-com aspect of the book. It says, "Whenever I took a closer look at him, he was disorienting in the kind of way kaleidoscopes were. Constantly moving and shifting, full of colors and shapes that shouldn't have gone together, but did in a way that made it perfect." Ashley Paulson knew what she was doing, okay? This book deals with a lot of grief and I feel like for me, why can I not express my feelings without like immediate tears? This is humbling. Let me just try to get through this real quick. I'm sorry if this is the last time that I have an excuse to talk about this book. I'm gonna make it count. So sorry, I'm already going on a rant. We are like a minute into the video. This one's a whole page, so stick with me, okay? I'll read fast. It says, "I missed her every day. I missed her in ways I didn't yet understand, in ways I wouldn't find out for years to come. I missed her with this deep sort of regret, even though there was nothing I could have done. She never wanted anyone to see the monster on her shoulder, so she hid it. And when she finally took the monster's hand, it broke our hearts. It would keep breaking our hearts, everyone who knew her, over and over and over again. It was the kind of pain that didn't exist to someday be healed by pretty words and good memories. It was the kind of pain that existed because once upon a time, so did she." And God. "And I carried that pain and that love and that terrible, terrible day with me. I got comfortable with it. I walked with it. Sometimes the people you loved left you halfway through a story. Sometimes they left you without a goodbye. Sometimes they stayed around in little ways, in the memory of a musical, and the smell of their perfume, and the sound of the rain, and the itch for adventure, and the yearning for that liminal space between one airport terminal and the next. I hated her for leaving, and I loved her for staying as long as she could. And I would never wish this pain on anyone. I walked through her apartment one last time, remembering all the nights I spent on her couch, all the mornings she cooked me eggs, the fingernail polish on the doorframe to mark my height, the books in her study. I ran my fingers over the spines full of faces we met and stories we'd heard. Of all the people, all of the experiences, all of the memories that loved me into being." I think the 7-year slip hit me in more ways than just the grief aspect, because the quote of all the people, all of the experiences, all the memories that loved me into being, that described exactly how I felt when I went back and visited like my hometown. Like when I went to visit my hometown, we did a day where I just got to see a lot of the old places that I just grew up loving. This book hit with like the grief of not only just losing someone you love, but also grief of losing like a thing that you love or a place that you love, because this main character Clementine is going back to her aunt's apartment so she can pack up all of her aunt's stuff. I can't describe it. No words that I say about this book are going to do it justice. Let me read one final quote and then we will move on. This last quote says, "Maybe she felt some sort of kinship with a man who, for his entire adult life, warred with his own monsters in his head. Vincent van Gogh's last words were, after his brother comforted him by telling him he would get better from the self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest, "This sadness will last forever." It wasn't a lie. There was sadness and there was despair and there was pain, but there was also laughter and joy and relief. There was never grief without love or love without grief, and I chose to think that my aunt lived because of them. Because of all the light and and love and joy that she found in the shadows of everything that plagued her. She lived because she loved, and she lived because she was loved. What a lovely lifetime she gave us. Do you understand my love for this book now? I really hope you do. Next book I want to talk about for like the best books I read in 2024 is The Story Life of AJ Fickery by Gabrielle Zevin. This book follows AJ Fickery. Obviously, it's about his life, but he is a bookstore owner and he lost his wife a while ago in a car accident. Ever since he lost his wife, he's kind of just been numb to the world, like not knowing how to handle certain situations, not really talking to people. He hasn't had much happiness in his life, and he hasn't been like yearning for happiness either because he's just numb. The whole book just focuses on AJ Fickery and him learning to love again after losing his wife, him learning to love life, himself, and other people again. It's heartbreaking and healing and just like happy all in the same breath. I can't really say much more about this book because I would just so much rather you guys go in blind if you want to read this book. It just know you'll probably cry, but you'll probably also like be smiling at the same time. It also kind of has a mystery aspect. It's like a bunch of different things just all intertwined in the most perfect way. The last book I want to talk about for my like best books overall is, drumroll please, Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. It was the cutest romance and also like the most heartbreaking plot, which I felt was actually a little bit messed up. Why would you guys do that to me? I'm trying to go to my Goodreads real quick so that I can read some of like the Kindle highlights I have for this book. Truly love this book so much. Let's see. Why did I click on Powerless? Something just overtook me in that moment and I clicked on Powerless. Also one of my favorite books, but I didn't put it in this category. So Divine Rivals follows Iris and Kit. They basically both work at the same company where they write like the newspapers. They end up having to like compete for the same like higher up job, but they also have these magical typewriters. There's only 3 of them in the entire like world. Whenever they write a letter on this typewriter, it like gets sent to the other person. Super cute and like fun plotline in general, but their letters to each other were just so heartfelt and so cute. Our main girl Iris, like her whole situation is that her brother got sent off to war and she hasn't heard from him ever since. So she's dealing with that. The whole reason Iris and Kit start communicating in the first place is because Iris is writing letters to her brother. None of the letters that Iris is sending actually make it to her brother because they end up going to Kit because of the magical typewriters. Let me read you a few quotes because their letters to each other were just so beautiful. I can't explain it. It says, "Do you ever feel as if you wear armor day after day? That when people look at you, they can only see the shine of the steel that you've so carefully encased yourself in. They see what they want to see in you, the warped reflection of their own face, or a piece of the sky, or a shadow cast between buildings. They see all the times you've made mistakes, all the times you've failed, all the times you've hurt them or disappointed them, as if that is all you will ever be in their eyes. How do you change something like that? How do you make your life your own and not feel guilt over it?" Let me read you the reply, okay? It says, "I think we all wear armor. I think those who don't are fools, risking the pain of being wounded by the sharp edges of the world over and over again. But if I've learned anything from those fools, it's that to be vulnerable is a strength most of us fear. It takes courage to let down your armor, to welcome people, to see you as you are. Sometimes I feel the same as you. I can't risk having people behold me as I truly am. But there's also a small voice in the back of my head, a voice that tells me, you will miss so much by being so guarded. Perhaps it begins with one person, someone you trust. You remove a piece of armor for them, you let the light stream in, even if it makes you wince." Can I read a few more? I'm so sorry. Like, my favorite books are books with like hard-hitting quotes. As long as the quotes are like really good and hard-hitting and like evoke some sort of emotion in me, that's why I love reading in general. So this category should not have been first. This one says, "But I realize that people are just people and they carry their own set of fears, dreams, desires, pains, and mistakes. I can't expect someone else to make me feel complete. I must find it on my own. And I think I was always writing for myself, to sort through my loss and worry and tangled ambitions. Even now, I think about how effortlessly it is to lose oneself in words, and yet also find who you are." Okay, last one I'll read. This one is about grief, and this one hit. It says, "I know what it feels like to lose someone you love, to feel as if you're left behind or like your life is in shambles and there's no guidebook to tell you how to stitch it back together. Time will slowly heal you as it is doing for me. There are good days and there are difficult days. Your grief will never fully fade. It will always be with you, a shadow you carry in your soul, but it will become fainter as your life becomes brighter. You'll learn to live outside of it again, as impossible as that may sound. Others who share your pain will also help you heal, because you are not alone, not in your fear or your grief or your hopes or your dreams. You are not alone." Oh, I want to read. I'm done. Those are my best books of 2024. I have some like fun questions I mixed in here. I think that like we need to move past the like heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, sobbing section of the video, okay? Let's move on to more fun things. The next question is best sequel you've read so far in 2024. By far, 1000% going to be Vow of Thieves. First book in the series is Dance of Thieves, and I didn't think that it could get better than this book. And the reason why I picked this for my favorite sequel is because this book had so much to do with like every character. Obviously it's still following Cassie and Jace. Those are our main two people, but it just like showed us a lot more of Jace's family in this and like a lot more of Cassie's like background. Loved it. I appreciate it so very much. Can I put my hair up real quick? I can't. I'm getting overstimulated. And the second I get overstimulated, I get mad at the world. I feel that it's best for like us as a collective to just have my hair up behind my head. Next question is new release you haven't read yet but want to. 1000% Funny Story by Emily Henry. Just take a little look at my shelf over here. We have Book Lovers, Beach Read, People Meet on Vacation, and Happy Place by Emily Henry. I love all of Emily Henry's books. They are my favorite books of like all time. Beach Read got me into reading. Happy Place like had some crack in it. These Emily Henry books are all becoming adaptations. I fear for the person I will become when I'm watching Beach Read. The Funny Story is my most anticipated release of the year. I've not got my hands on it yet because I refuse to buy it in hardcover because all of my other Emily Henry books are in paperback. I'm waiting until she releases the paperbacks to like get the copy for myself. I haven't read it yet because it's on hold on the Libby app, so I'll be able to read it on my Kindle soon. 4 more weeks to wait and that book will be within my grasps. I cannot wait. Next question is favorite new author. I'm gonna do like new author to me because I don't really read that many like debut novels. That's not for me, but my newest favorite author is Abby Jimenez. I have so many things tabbed from yours truly. I do own Just for the Summer, but my sister's currently reading it, and I'm too lazy to walk all the way back home to grab it. So, but Abby Jimenez is like one of my new favorite authors of all time. I just love the pacing of her writing. There's some quotes in the books that like hit. I love the way that she makes the characters like just more than one-dimensional. I feel like with a lot of romance books, like people can make their characters be very one-dimensional, and it's like, no, we're not doing that. People are multifaceted, and I feel like a lot of romance books don't reflect that, but Abby Jimenez makes her characters just feel so real. Like, look how many things I have tabbed and like highlighted. Okay, next question is book that made you cry. I already kind of answered this question because the 3 of my like favorite books of 2024 all made me cry. I don't want to read. But I will mention a different book this time. I never really talk about this book, but I feel that I should talk about it in this video at least. This book was just honestly a roller coaster of emotions, and if you watch the movie after you read the book, you're gonna cry. I cried at the movie more, but I also cried at the book. I'll just read this little blurb on the back of it because I don't think I can put like what this book is about into the correct words. It says the acclaimed true story of an aristocrat, a con man, and the friendship that transformed them both. So both of the characters in this book are struggling with just life in general. They have all the reason to be depressed and annoyed and mad at the world. Like, they have more than enough reason, but then they form this friendship and they just kind of bond over the fact that both of their lives they just don't care anymore. They end up both finding just happiness and peace and joy, and they end up just loving life again, and I can't express enough how much this book just makes me tear up. Next question is total opposite of the last one. It is, what is a book that made you happy? Is it wrong if I put The Upside as the book that made me happy? Like, yeah, this book made me really sad, but by the end of the book, I was happy, and I was like, I'm so glad these characters like found their happiness. And this is the book that made me happy? I think so. I think we have to put this book as the book that made me happy. Made me sad and also happy simultaneously. Next question is favorite book boyfriend. Sorry, I don't want to repeat books, but I have to for this one. Jacob from yours truly. He is such an acts of service guy, but also I relate to him on just so many different levels. He deals with like high anxiety and trying to like cope with all that in his life, but also he wasn't letting his anxiety get in the way, and I loved him so much. Favorite book boyfriend by far this year. I just think that everything he did was correct. Next question is most beautiful cover on a book you've bought so far this year. We all know which one I'm gonna say for this. It's really a toss-up between A Novel Love Story by Ashley Pawson and Happy Place by Emily Henry. I just love the fun summer covers and like the covers that just have such a bright color to them. One of the best book covers of like a book that I bought this year, but I also felt like A Novel Love Story should be like mentioned in this one because once again, the bright colors. This like bluish purplish color is so beautiful. Look how cute that cover is. And all the colors, like this is just so beautiful. In the back, people jumping, the cutest covers of this year. by far. Next question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I have a whole stack that I wanted to mention. I'm not going to talk in depth about these books. I'm just going to show you the covers. This is like the books that I like have to read by the end of the year. Like there's something wrong with me. We have Not a Happy Family by Sherry LaPena. I need to read this year. I genuinely don't know why I haven't yet. We have Someone Else's Shoes by Jojo Moyes. The only reason I really want to read this one by the end of the year is because my mom wants me to read this book. My mom thought this would be a good book for me to read, and like she just loved the premise of it, so I feel that I have to read this one. Then we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. The rest of them are fantasy books that I've like checked out from my library like countless amount of times, but like have never actually read them. So first up on that list, we have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. We have Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I actually was supposed to like, not really like buddy read, but read it at the same time as my friend. Tell me why neither of us have read it yet. It was like for a whole 2 weeks straight, we just kept texting each other like, guess who's about to start the book? And neither of us would start the book. I think when I'm filming this, she finally like actually started the book, and she sent me like a bunch of text messages about how like I need to read this like right now. So I need to read this by the end of the year. I actually need to read it now. But we have The Serpentine Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. And last but not least, we have Lightlark by Alex Astor. I mean, Book Talk hyped this book up so much when it came out, and now I have not heard a single thing about it, and I need to formulate opinions about this book for myself. So I didn't want to answer this question because I feel bad when I put books off for too long, but this question says, books you've been putting off. First of all, we have Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and we have The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This has been on my TBR since the start of last year. The issue with me is like the second I have a book on my TBR, it's not getting read. I'm going to sit on my TBR, and I'm going to pick any other book other than what is on my TBR. So this has been on my TBR for approximately 1.5 years now. And then we have anything from this section of my bookshelf. These are all of my like thrillers and mysteries. I have honestly only read three. I've only read 3 books from like the thriller, mystery, suspense section of my bookshelf, so any of these books I've been holding off because I'm a terrified girly with high anxiety who reads rom-coms. None of these are gonna do it for me, I fear. Next question is a book that you enjoyed with mixed reviews. I think it has to be Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. A lot of people said this book was like boring. Excuse me, what? You're wrong. Dead wrong, dead wrong. Don't care, I'll die on this hill, okay? This is the most perfect, cozy, rom-com, like childhood friends to lovers book you will ever read. Next question is some series you want to finish before the end of the year. The entire Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. The next 2 I have are the Renegade series by Marissa Meyer, and then we have none other than the ACOTAR series. I just love how brightly colored these are. Like, look at that! I've been loving the ACOTAR series so far. I actually have not read A Court of Wings and Ruin yet, but I definitely need to. It's just really intimidating. We only have a few more questions, so thank you for sticking around this long, but just trek through a little bit more, okay? Next question is, what are your 5-star predictions for the rest of the year? We have Six of Crows, which I think is going to be 5 stars. Anybody that I talked to about Six of Crows has always like just said that they loved it so much and they gave it 5 stars. I'm like, I'll probably do the same thing too. Then we have Reckless, which is a new release and also the second book to the Powerless series. And we have another new release, which is Nothing Like the Movies. It is the second book to Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I gave this book, I believe, 4 or 5 stars. Don't remember exactly what I gave this book, but I really enjoyed this book, so I believe I'll enjoy Nothing Like the Movies a little bit more when the characters are more grown up, because this is a YA book and takes place with like high school kids. I think that once the characters are grown up more and like more mature, I guess, I'll enjoy that a lot more, and that'll probably be 5 stars. And then of course we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. And the last question is, do you think you'll change your reading goal, and are you going to change it? I don't think I'll change it on Goodreads necessarily, because I like seeing the 100%. Like, I cannot deal with failure. I am scared of failure, so I'll just like leave it at 100%. But like mentally, I'll probably change my reading goal to be a little bit more than, I believe, 50 books that I put on my reading goal. So I'm currently at 35 out of 50 books read, and I'm 9 books ahead of schedule, 70% through, and we are not 70% through the year yet. So I don't think I'll change like my Goodreads reading goal, but I probably will change it like mentally in my head of I probably will try to get like 60-70 books. Those were all the questions for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this gave you some book recommendations. I also hope you enjoyed just like listening to me rant about some of my favorite books, some of my least favorite books, some of like all the books that I read this year, because I have had such a good reading year. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so very much. I'll see you guys super soon with some vlogs, some book content. Okay, that's all. Goodbye.